We're all confused as to what banks actually do. And that's because it's a mess. And we think that we have our money deposited at the bank and it's somewhere in a safety deposit box and it's there. It isn't. It isn't.
I know you've been on the subject of kind of managing finances locally and managing the needs of the community, and that's related to landlords, because at the end of the day, you know, the current system is about exploitation often and just putting rents up and up and up. Whereas if those landlords felt enfranchised to help the community, and if their lending parameters were connected perhaps to the way in which they helped tenants and helped, you know, their communities thrive, that would be a different model. Within that, you've got this ledger theory. Can you just explain that? Because there's sort of two parts to this ledger theory that will allow local financing to work more effectively.
Yes, so we're all confused as to what banks actually do. And that's because it's a mess. And we think that we have our money deposited at the bank and it's somewhere in a safety deposit box and it's there. It isn't. It isn't. It hasn't been for many. It's not there. It's gone. The money is. You are a creditor of the bank. The bank owes you the money. Now that confuses people because people think their money is safe. It isn't. So we have to move to a system whereby the money is safe. So that's ledger number one, which is not a relationship. It's not credit. It's actually mine. So ledger one would be money that belongs to me, and when I spend it, it goes to you. No other party involved. It's not a credit. It's actually something I own. Now, what we do with that, as you'll see from the film Shillings from Heaven, is you pay the workers every day. So there's no credit in the system because credit is what makes it complicated, and they can spend the money for food, for clothes, for whatever they want. And everybody pays without credit. What that means, as you'll see from the film, is the money flows around the system, jobs get done, unemployment reduces, everyone gets what they need. And that's the money cash ledger. And you get rid of this confusion that we all live with, that I have my money in the bank. No, you don't. So that's a pure deposit. But then what the issue is of course, we have to deal with the timing issue. Sometimes a poor person might not have enough money to put food on the table. You want long-term projects to build schools or factories, etc., which require long-term return. That does require credit, and but we keep that completely separate from the money. We have a credit-based system, and that credit-based system actually involves lending the money, so giving the people the cash, but
on good, reliable terms for
no zero interest.
Right.
No interest. But it's not
for the need of the community.
For the needs of people, almost all for employment, fundamentally for employment. So it's never going to create inflation because it's for employment. It's fundamentally for productive employment, and then you do that over a cycle. Because if you don't have a cycle, you end up with boom and bust being created by the bank. So you actually have a natural cycle, a man-made agreed cycle for the benefit of the poor, that at the end of 7 years, the debt is wiped, whatever happens. And that means that nobody has any debt. It's simply that every 7 years, there's a communal celebration.
You can, back to the projects, you can address local needs with appropriate funding. And it's very transparent and managed, and
it gets done. The project gets done.
That's going to be released through civic trust kind of framework. I suppose.
Well, it's simple. The money gets printed to pay the people for the projects that need to be done, and they get done. And you build your schools, you build your hospitals, you do your research into, and then
on budget and on time because it's all run within community frameworks.
And the other side of that and of the credit is a loan. The money's owed to you. What that means is, as long as you use the money, which tops up the cash. So the cash money is mine, okay? And no one can take it, and it's not, the bank can't lend it, and everybody can start to feel comfortable. The money's not going to disappear. But then you do need credit to top up the system for those things that don't naturally happen. When you have the credit, then person gets extra cash for employment purposes, for things that need to be happened, and there is a loan. But that loan is a paper entry. At the end of 7 years, if it hasn't been repaid, Who cares? Wipe it off. It's not going to create inflation, because what creates inflation is money, too much money, the liquid money chasing it. No change in the ledger will ever create inflation. This way, everybody gets employed, all the jobs get done, and we have a stable system of abundance, and it's real.
And how are these ideas, because I know you have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, some in quite high places, some, in government, and some potentially in the governments to be. Are these ideas settling? Are these ideas getting resonance?
In a very simple word, yes. There's recognition that there is another alternative. And fortunately, we're getting connection with people at fairly senior levels. And they're listening because they can see there's a problem with the system. The answer is definitely yes. And the key is to keep it simple, because everything's overly complicated by the gatekeepers. But if we keep it simple, we can make the changes.
And another gatekeeper, of course, is the actual landlords of landowners. And obviously they've got extraordinary power and a lot of opportunity to actually deliver new produce and be far more productive than perhaps they are. What's your message to them? Because you've got, I think, some quite contrarian views on how the land could be reinvigorated. Again, new communities could be put on the map.
If Shillings from Heaven is a film that explains the money, Kiss the Ground explains the way the agrarian economy should work. Again, relatively simple. We've allowed the shareholder to do whatever they want with the land. So they don't care about the ecosystem. All they care about is money, which is crazy because money isn't anything real, but they don't care about the ground. So what they've done is they completely destroy our soil. Pesticides literally kill the natural.
The soil's getting thinner and thinner.
It gets killed, and it becomes less productive. So we have to start recognizing that it's an ecosystem. We can start looking after the soil. We start to looking after the coverage of the soil, because what you'll see in the film is that if the soil is covered, it actually sequestrates carbon from the atmosphere, which actually starts to reduce the problems of the ozone, global warming. Or it can all be done, but we all leave it to the market. The market will sort it out, but the market effectively is banks and people who don't particularly care about other people, who don't particularly care about the environment, and therefore you have to consciously, in an organized way, look after other people via a two-ledger system, a cash system, and a credit system based on a 7-year cycle. You actually look after the environment by consciously saying, we are going to protect the trees, we're going to protect the ozone layer, we're going to protect the ground, and you do it. And rather than relying on happenstance, it's going to happen. You actually consciously do it, and the problems are resolved. Simple as that.
And I guess, farmers need to be incentivized, right? Farmers need more support now than they did. But I also think there's a message to landlords as well, that they don't have to wed it to this system, that there is another way. And then actually, this idea of people coming back out of cities and living, more freely in the countryside, which you believe is possible. If you make those communities more viable and more attractive, there could be a fantastic way to live. But unfortunately, the work is not there, the incentive's not there, the employment's not there.
These are conscious decisions which we leave it to chance. We just say, let the market sort it out. And the market isn't free. The market is people, banks making conscious decisions, and they don't actually care about the environment. So the answer is we move to a system that is agreed, that is for the benefits of people, for the benefits of the land, and the problems get resolved. The money's there, no problem.